Hey YouTube, today I'm going to be talking about 10 issues I see with bug out bags, and these are mostly like pretty simple stuff, but I still see even on like people who have been preppers for a long time, they have a few of these holes. So I'm just going to be going right down the list here. The first one is a tarp, and this is probably the thing I see most often as an issue with bug out bags. A tarp is really useful because you can use it for a shelter primarily, or collecting water or keeping firewood dry. It has so many uses, and they're fairly lightweight, and you can get something like a rain fly that you'd use for like a hammock, and those are like extremely lightweight and packable. I think the main reason people forget to put a tarp in their bug out bag is because they think that they're gonna like just go out and build a shelter if they're moving through the woods. And I used to kind of be in that camp too, and a lot of these are things that's like I myself have like not had in my bug out bag before. So I understand that reasoning, but then if you go out and actually try to build like a debris shelter, one, it takes a long time. Even if you're in a place where there's plenty of stuff to do it with, it takes usually at least an hour. And then also, you're gonna have a really hard time waterproofing a bunch of like sticks. And in most places in the country, there's not like huge leaves that you can use to like build a waterproof shelter. So I think a tarp is just like a really big time saver, if nothing else. And then also, you know, you got like a guaranteed like waterproof shelter there as long as you don't have any holes in it. So I think it's something everyone should have in their bag. Number two is a saw or an axe. I see a lot of people that just don't have like a serious cutting implement. They'll have like a big knife or something, but you really need to have a saw or an axe to be able to chop or saw through like some larger stuff. And a lot of times doing bushcraft type stuff, there's just something you need. Like you need like a nice green limb or something for, you know, hanging across to make an A-frame shelter, or a pole or something for a trap. Like it just comes in handy a lot. And I almost always find myself using an axe or saw whenever I'm in the woods, like practicing survival skills. So if you don't have one, they do kind of weigh a lot compared to some other things, but I would definitely throw one in the bag. I think it's pretty essential. Number three is food. This is kind of surprising to see, but a lot of people, they just say, you know, food's too heavy and I'll just hunt and fish when I'm out there, which makes sense if you think about it. But then, you know, there's certain times of the year around here that I've noticed, like especially during wintertime, where like there's just no game. I went squirrel hunting a few weeks ago in a place I hadn't been before. The place I normally go usually has plenty of squirrels any time of year, so it's not an issue. But at this place, I was walking around for hours and hunting and didn't see any animals. And then camping a few months ago, we camped in this valley, and we were there for 2 days, and we only saw birds, no animals or anything, no squirrels, or it was strange. But yeah, you might find yourself walking through a place like that where there's just no game, and in those situations you need to have some food. And there are lightweight options. I think the main thing people don't want to carry it is because it's heavy. But yeah, you can get real lightweight stuff. Freeze-dried food is a really good thing to have. You do have to cook it usually. Well, you can eat it out of the bag, it's just not as good that way. But it's extremely lightweight and you can get a lot of calories out of it. And then at the same time, you know, there's other options too, like granola bars, that sort of thing, that will last a long time. There's like different ration, like food block deals that are good and they last for a long time. Peanut butter is a good one too, because you can use it for like setting traps and like that sort of thing. So I usually keep that in all my bags now. And traps is another one that's not on this list. Not enough people have traps. Get some traps in your bag. Well, little work to do a lot of hunting. So number four is going to be ammo. So almost everyone plans on carrying some kind of firearm with them whenever they go bugging out or whatever. And typically bugging out means you're going to like a specific location, you plan to stay there for a long time. But yeah, not enough people carry ammo for their guns. So if you're, I guess that's one thing if you plan on just going out to the woods for a while and then coming back to your house, but typically bug out, like being bugged out means you're not coming back. So most people are going to want to bring their firearms, but then they don't carry ammo with them. So I try to keep quite a few rounds for all the guns I have in my bag, and then especially 22 I carry a lot of because it's so lightweight. But yeah, put some ammo for your guns in your bags, or better yet, loaded magazines would be good. The fifth item on this list isn't really an item so much as a concept, but I see a lot of bug out bags that don't have redundancy. They just have, you know, one flashlight, one method of starting a fire, that sort of thing. They don't, you know, you gotta follow the rule of one is none, you know, two is one, that sort of thing. And there's been a lot of times where I go out camping and practicing and I realize I've misplaced like my good flashlight or whatever, but it's okay because I have like some backup flashlights that'll get me by, that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely try to make sure you have at least two, preferably three, of all the the very essential things. So in the event that something goes wrong, you're set. Number 6 is water. Kind of goes along with food. People don't want to carry it because it's heavy and they've got their filters and that sort of thing. I like to carry at least a few water bottles just to kind of get me by. Now, where I live, it's hard to walk very far without coming across like a little stream or some standing water, and that's good, but even still, you know, there's times where you might be walking for a long time and you just don't come across anything. You gotta have some water. Getting dehydrated in a SHTF situation can be really bad news, so you want to make sure you're hydrated. And then at the same time, most water bottles, like, they'll screw on to like those Sawyer Minis, which is my water filter of choice. So then it just gives you another container, which is good. And yeah, it's always good to have extra containers in your bag for water, because, you know, you might be in a place where you've been walking for a while and you haven't found water, and you find some, but you don't know how long it's going to be till the next time you find it, and you can fill up those containers and carry a lot with you. So yeah, definitely carry at least a little bit of water in your bag. And then number 7 is having more than 50 feet of cordage. I see a lot of people that have cordage, but it's just like a really small amount. And you know, if you actually go out and are building stuff with it or whatever, like, that goes surprisingly fast. I had a 50-foot like spool or whatever, paracord, and I was making a shelter, and I was tying a really heavy log to 2 trees like this to kind of make like a frame for like the A-frame. And you know, I had to use quite a bit of cordage to get that nice and secure where it wasn't wiggling around and I didn't feel like it was going to fall on me. And I used like almost the whole thing, I think, but luckily I kept more in my pack. But yeah, I see a lot of people that don't have very much. It can go too fast. You could use it all in one shelter or something. So that's a consideration. And then also a good way to get around that is having like a spool of like twine or like hemp cord or whatever. And that stuff is surprisingly strong. It's really lightweight. You can carry a lot of it. I carry that in my bag. And you can use it for kind of like those smaller things, like when you need to, like, say, secure your tarp or something to the ground. It's good for that purpose. And, you know, if nothing else, it's okay to, like, cut it up and stuff, because you can still use it for fire, even if it's like a really small amount. Yeah, it's good for starting fire, so keep that in your pack. Number 8 is having some spare clothes. I see a lot of times people, they have just no spare clothes in their pack, and this one is kind of understandable, because typically if you have a get-home bag and a bug-out bag, the bug-out bag is going to stay at home, so if you get home, you can, you know, change into the clothes you want to have. But I still want to have a couple of options when I'm out there, because, you know, it might be, say, like springtime, and around here, the temperature fluctuates like wildly in fall and spring. So, you know, during the day it might be 70 degrees, and you will want to be wearing like short sleeves and shorts and that sort of thing. And then at night, you know, it could drop, it could be snowing or whatever. And then so you'll want to have like thermal underwear and, you know, nice warm clothes and a coat and all that. So I try to keep like warm under layers in my bag, and then extra pairs of socks, because those will get worn out too if you're walking a lot. And yeah, just like some warm clothes, I think is a good option. Waterproof stuff if you can justify carrying that much, because it tends to weigh more. But yeah, put some spare clothes in your bag. And number 9 kind of goes along with that. It's you need to have gloves. And there's really 3 kinds of gloves you need to have. You need to have some disposable gloves in your like med kit, because you don't want to get like, you know, someone's infected blood or, you know, whatever on you. It's kind of gross. Or get them sick too by, if they're cut open and you're like bandaging them up, you could get stuff in there that would not be good. And then you want to have like a pair of like warm gloves and a pair of work gloves. Work gloves, I would say, are probably the most essential because, you know, if you're working with blades a lot, there's a good chance you can cut yourself if you don't have work gloves, and work gloves are going to prevent that and also stop from getting blisters and that sort of thing, or splinters and all that. Just little things that can make your day a lot worse and make survival a lot more difficult, can be avoided by just, you know, wearing some work gloves. And then the last one is hygiene items. I think a lot of people just don't put them in there because they're like, you know, that's okay if I get dirty. Like, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered if I stink, if it's that kind of situation. But you got to keep your body clean, and you got to keep, you know, your teeth healthy. You need to have like a toothbrush and all that kind of stuff, and floss. Yeah, and if you're not taking care of your hygiene, you're probably going to get disease, and that can be like potentially lethal. So you want to have like Germ-X and baby wipes, probably toilet paper, you know, feminine hygiene products if you're a woman, and then, yeah, like oral health stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope this video might help you fill in some holes or whatever, but if not, sorry.